Welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm Philip Ellis.
I'm Mae. Sorry, my cat just fell off something. I'm Mae. Are you even Jewish? Schultz.
And I'm Carlos Crawford, and we're here today to talk The Magicians Season 2, Episode 2, Hotel, Spa, and Potions. What do we think of this episode, Philip?
There were parts of it I liked, but as you and I were discussing before we started recording, it's this season is really it takes a really long time to get going because it's basically season 1 part 2. So much of the story is just leftover plot from season 1, and the characters are just having like a really bad time. So yeah, and jumping into this sort of in isolation. I'd forgotten just how heavily serialized the show is. I had to watch the previously on because I had no idea what was happening.
Yeah. It's a lot. This is a lot of like moving parts. Mae, what'd you think?
I actually really like this episode. I think talking about episode 1 yesterday when we recorded really helped immerse me into the beginning of this season. And I know you were saying that like somewhat as a criticism, Philip, but for me, it works really well that it's a continuation of season 1 because that means they set up a lot of stuff that they are now having to handle. And I feel like a lot of shows would just immediately resolve all of the conflict from the previous season in the first episode. And I kind of like that they don't do that. It gives it a unique feeling in the world of serialized television. And I actually think they handle it really well. Because all of this stuff, even though the characters are largely having a bad time, they still get to have moments of levity. They still get to have moments of sexiness and fun. And I don't know, it's very exciting for me, all of this.
I'm somewhere in the middle, I think. I don't know. I feel like I don't have as many notes for this as I normally would. The thing about the show that I have said a zillion times is it's my favorite show where I never know what's going on. Literally, there's a point at the end of the episode, or maybe in the middle even, where I was like, wait, I don't even remember why we're doing this. Like, and I had just learned about it like 15 minutes prior while watching, forgetting and being like, I can't remember this thing.
That's called ADHD, sweetie.
Right. Also that. But like the show just always gives a lot of plot. But I don't know. These characters are like so enjoyable. And this season, immediately, they're building up Margot and Elliot way more and giving them more to be involved with even, which I like. I'm always down for more Margot and Elliot because they are the best. But yeah, so we'll start with like the pre-credits thing. We'll talk about that in order. And then we'll go into just Julia and then I had even forgotten at this one. I was like, I just recorded for this yesterday. Why is the gang in break bills? Like, I even couldn't remember that.
So when they were in the armory, they found a workbook from a former break bills student at the end of the 19th century that had sort of notes on various powerful spells, including some battle magic, but not the spells themselves. So they figured, okay, we need to go to break bills and find this shit.
Mae, this is where you are very good. And like, I feel like anytime I'm like, I don't know, you're like, well, I can explain it to you.
I have the ADHD that makes me hyper focus on things rather than get easily distracted. So
fair. I just no incel, but I've been having Rick and Morty as like a background watch at night sometimes. And there's
it's funny. It's funny.
It is. And there's like, I forget even the context, but it's like Rick is forgetting they're there to save Summer. And he's like, oh, sorry, I got carried away. I can't tell if I'm taking too much Adderall or not enough. And I was like, I feel that. Like that is like my brain where I'm like, is the Adderall doing this? Or have I just like, is it wearing off? And that's why my brain is doing this. Anyway, speaking of ADHD, and so they jump through the fountain. We kind of like get a passing thing of like, why aren't the fountain people stopping them?
Yeah. Also, what is that area called? The like in between worlds?
The Netherlands.
The Netherlands. Thank you. I love that when we zoom through space toward the Netherlands, it just looks like, you know, that Oreo breakfast cereal where it's like chocolate O's with Oreo cream on them.
I thought it was like chocolate Cheerios. That's what I put in my notes.
I had in my notes Wheatos, which is the chocolatey cereal.
I'm glad we all thought the same thing.
Yep.
Quentin, Alice, Margot, and Penny have met up with Dean Fogg. He kind of fills them in. They kind of fill him in. What is it? We learned that, like, Bigby was a professor. They assume male. He lets them know that
she was
Bigby
a pixie.
Yeah, she Bigby is she and a pixie. Which that is a thing the show always does well, right? Because it's like she's a pixie, but like she's just like a very hypersexualized human. Like I like that.
Who's immortal.
Yes.
She like pulls back her hair and like shows off her pixie ears at one point. But they're very much like, oh, we're doing low budget magical creatures.
And it works, right? I think it does.
We'll get into the Bigby bit because I really, really liked that character and that performance. But it's something that this show does, I think, almost every episode, especially in the early seasons, where there's a conundrum or a problem or a dilemma, and one of the characters just says, I think I know someone who can help, and then it just cuts immediately to random one-off character or returning character.
Yes.
And it would be annoying if the show didn't do it so well and wasn't building out such a well-rounded cast of sort of tertiary people in this world.
I agree with that, yeah. Dean Fogg finds out about Penny's hand issues because he yells duck and he starts swinging.
I love that he's like, what the hell is going on with that?
What is this?
That man has such a good voice. Like Dean Fogg, like,
yes.
And I feel like his voice wouldn't often be a voice you would think hearing shit. Like I love when he's cursing. I love when he's mad. Because it's this
it's
seems
so
like
fucking sexy.
It is. And this seems like a man who wouldn't talk like that with like that voice. I just think of like a stuffy professor who isn't cursing, but instead he's like, fuck this. Like, I'm gonna have a drink.
In this episode in particular, we learn that he fucks.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Dean Fogg fucks.
Oh yeah. Julia, we get what did we think of the Beast singing? I'm back and forth whether I think it like I'm charmed or I'm like, this is annoying.
I think it's absolutely hilarious because Julia calls it out and then eventually Marina in the episode how ridiculous and annoying it is. Now, here's what I want to know. The piano accompaniment that we are hearing, is Martin doing that magically? Can Julia also hear that? Because I feel like she can.
I had this same thing. I was like, oh, is this the first use of the musical spell that then later gives us the musical episodes? Because I swear he like waves his hand or something, and that's when the piano starts. So I very much think that it is, what's the word? Diagenic or non-diegetic? Diegetic, thank you. It's that. It's like it's in the scene and everyone can hear it.
I think so. I think that's what I think too.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, that makes it so much fucking funnier. That he's not just singing a cappella, he's got accompaniment joining him. And Julia's just like, oh my God, make it stop. I'll cut your tongue out.
So a question I had is, and it's in, this early sequence where he teleports out into the street and he's singing into traffic. I was like, has he been trapped or something? Or like he acts like it's his first day out in a century. Or is he just being really extra because he knows that it annoys Julia?
Oh, definitely the latter.
I think it's like he's discovering, like, I think it's like he's been this like murdering immortal like monster for so many years that I feel like he's like just very out of touch with like things. And he is like, in the first episode we talked about it, May like cut to him watching Rick and Morty and he's like laughing as like Rick is like chopping up stuff. It's like he's getting a kick out of these things. So I almost feel like it's like he's kind of like a kid with like new toys, but also like he knows he's annoying Julia.
He's catching up to the 20th and the 21st centuries that he missed while he was in Fillory.
Yeah.
Right. I think part of what's so successful in this episode for me is that his energy and his banter with Julia moves their stuff along in a way that was not necessarily happening in the previous episode. It has more of a drive to it. And so I find that when we cut to them, it's more entertaining. I'm more invested in it rather than the last episode where it was not as interesting and not as drawing of my attention.
That's fair. I get a kick out of him when she's like, "You put a curse on the castle," and he's like, "Did I?" He's very like older theater queen is what he his vibe is.
This is it. He's like a literal mustache twirling villain. It's like, we spent all of season 1 being terrified of this ominous figure with the moths for a face. And then it's like, oh, it's just this camp old git. And I think, especially as well, because Julia's storyline is just so bleak and harrowing at the moment. And she's in, the blue tinted New York. They just needed to bring some kind of energy to it to make it watchable and make it, entertaining. And so that the decision to give the Beast this sort of extra dimension to his personality, where he is just a massive theater kid, and he's singing these, I don't know if they're show tunes or standards.
I don't know what they are.
It sounds like he's just making that shit up.
He may well be, but I do think it brings something to that section of the story, especially when Marina then comes in and Julia is just huffing on that cigarette like at the end of her rope.
I wrote down, my last note is Julia and Marina sharing that cigarette is so sexy. Like they both look so done with it, but for some reason when she passes it to Marina and Marina takes the drag, I was just like, I want them to Eiffel Tower me.
Fair. I mean, everyone on the show is so hot. Like,
oh yeah.
So we get they're talking about the throne room. We see them in Fillory, like going through it. Fen screams because the like old kings and queens like bodies are in there. Yeah, then we get the credits, and we'll just go into Julia and get that out of the way. The Beast teleports back with Marina, and I feel like my relationship with Marina on the show is so weird because like I really hated her at first, but now I like can appreciate her, and she has such a good presence when she's on screen.
I feel like Marina is one of those characters, kind of like Spike, where they start out relatively evil and then they get a genuinely interesting, compelling, and empathetic redemption arc.
Yeah.
And like, from what I remember, Marina still has
spoilers, remember.
Right. No spoilers. I feel like later she does still act on her bitchiness sometimes.
Yeah.
But she's never quite as evil as she was in season 1, where she like
murders,
essentially murders Katie's mom.
Yeah. Yeah. It took me a while to get I think that was the thing that like I just couldn't get past with her. But I do think you're right. It's like Spike, where like the screen presence, it just is there. So it's like, yeah, let's keep putting her on screen.
I think it's exactly that. They had her written in as one thing and then realized that the actor could do so many other things as well. And I always enjoy in those later seasons where Marina makes an appearance, because she's going to ruin everyone's day. She's going to look great.
Yes.
Especially jumping all the way to the final season, she gets it's not a spoiler, I don't think, to say she gets a real fuck ass bob. And yeah, just that actress is she's got such a specific quality. And I think the first thing I saw her in was Hannibal, where she plays
is she in that?
a major role in at least the first season, maybe later ones as well. And she's like, really, they lean into that, she's got these big doe eyes. And it's great that she sort of plays against that in this, where it's like, she looks like Bambi, but she will kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is a little bit of that at first with her on Hannibal, and then it kind of changes a little bit. But yeah, she is a truly fantastic actor.
Yeah. Yeah, I love all the Marina stuff in this, and I do think it makes her and Julia are good, because Julia understandably is like very serious, right? She doesn't have jokes. She's just like a woman on a revenge mission. Understandably so, but we need, as viewers, a little bit of balance there. And I think Marina and the Beast do a good job with her scenes of like kind of giving a little bit more like levity, and like the Beast we know is a murder. We know Marina's a murderer. These are two murderers. but like they're bringing a little bit of like fun, like they're lighting a fire under her ass.
So
Yeah.
there is just a very fun detail in the scene where the beast materializes with Marina. She's wearing a luchador mask.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that didn't need to be in there. I love that it is. But why?
I was wondering if like she had that and he like put it over her head, or he materialized that and that was
right. Like, does she have this whole other life where she's like a Mexican wrestler? We'll never know.
I could see her kicking some ass as a wrestler. I mean, but yes, I do like, she even mentions like, did you scrape him off the cabaret floor? Like, she's basically calling him the F word, but like, nah.
Yeah. So just use the slur.
Yeah. Marina leaves because she doesn't want to help. And it's another hedge witch that she calls, right?
Correct. She's basically the hedge witch, head bitch of the West Coast.
Are we supposed to assume Marina's the head of the East Coast ones, or she's just like part of the... Okay.
I think the assumption is she's the head bitch, hedge witch of the East Coast, and that's why they have clearly had conflict in the past, and that's why she says, you know, we each stick to our coast. And I appreciate that despite that, she's calling to essentially warn her and give her a big heads up, because I think that is where we really start to see, oh, Marina is a genuinely empathetic character.
Yeah, she doesn't... I feel like she doesn't want to be, but she is. Like, she would prefer not to be the character, but like can't help it sometimes, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. And we see even more, not to skip ahead, but we see more of that vulnerability from her when she's speaking to Dean Fogg, and I got so mad in that scene. But yeah, I like to think that with this character, I don't even know if this character gets a name, who she calls and then visits, but there's a sort of a sense that you are somebody who has earned my respect, and so I'm going to do the courtesy of like giving you this heads up.
Yeah.
And it's just giving us a sense of the sort of society in which Marina operates, and a bit more of like what that hedge witch world looks like, that when it's not just all in like crack houses.
Yeah. Yes. And I do like the idea that this, like, the West Coast hedge witch is like in this fancy fucking office, has like everything's very nice looking. She looks like, you know, some like bigwig, like Hollywood exec or some shit.
I own 51% of this company.
The lobby for that building is a lobby in like 5 movies. I know that I remember watching this episode on Netflix the first time being like, oh, that was just in the movie I saw last week. But I couldn't tell you what. But that, because the lobby is like very small and has that very particular like weird moon crater looking like wall art.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just remember it being in like a movie I had just seen when I saw this, but that's my not interesting fact about that. She goes up, finds the woman like torn to pieces, and that's Reynard did that, right?
Correct.
Not the beast. Okay. That's what I was like.
No, the beast has been chilling with Julia and focusing on their shit. Martin would have absolutely no reason to go after that woman.
True. And I feel like sometimes he'll do it for fun, but usually there's like a reason he's like doing it. What is it? Then after that, is that when she goes to see Dean Fogg?
Yes, they have like an intruder alert, or their magical perimeter has been breached by Marina, which we know she is capable of because she did it in season 1. And yeah, here comes this scene that I think probably my least favorite scene of the episode, where she asks Dean Fogg for asylum and he refuses. And so she calls him a fucking prick, and she's right to do so because she has explicitly told him this is a being who is raping and murdering my people, and he's after me, and if you don't help me, that is the fate that I am left with. And he's like, peace.
Yeah, this is... I feel like there are definitely moments on the show that make me so angry with Dean Fogg. And I understand that to a certain extent, he is trying to protect his other students. He is trying to stick to agreements that he has made in the past. And like, dude, come on, be a little more flexible. You know, you can enchant stuff to keep Marina from doing any harm to anyone. Just let her be there. Offer some asylum.
I think the reason I felt bad for her, but I'm hands up. I was like, she's a murderer. He doesn't want her with his other students. I understand. Like, I also, if like someone I knew that was like a legit murderer who did not care, I would also be reluctant to let them around my like current students if they're a former student and I know they've done plenty of murder. I also understand the like, but she literally said this like monster god is like raping and killing hedge witches.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like I'd want to weigh the safety of my current students. And I don't know. I could kind of understand being like, you will kill people that are in my school now because if someone looks at you wrong or asks for help with a spell, you're going to be like, fuck off. And then they bleed out their eyes. And you're like, well, not my problem, which she does.
I do think, though, there is an element of like this sort of magical class system. You know, they keep bringing up the dichotomy of like the university kids versus the hedge witches. I think a lot, and it's sort of, it sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it's the way that he says like, oh well, I can't have you infecting my students, and he's implying that basically like, you know, she's a bad apple and she'll be a bad influence on them, and it's like, well, she's not necessarily going to tell them, you know, like be encouraging them to like murder each other or whatever, but she might be telling people, oh well, there's a world outside of the walls of this school and there are other ways to do magic, and I think that plays into his decision as well.
That's fair. That's totally fair. Yeah. And I do feel bad for her because she literally is just like, this is one of the only places I can go. Because like if the hedge witches are being murdered and he can clearly get to the head of the West Coast hedge witches and like open her body up with her insides out, I would understand her being like, where the fuck can I go? I mean, that is a thing we like about the show where there are a lot of like, not everyone does good things, right? Like even the characters that are the good characters, you know, no spoilers, but I have gotten about halfway through this season of my rewatch, and there's just a line where Margot says, no, I'm a manipulative cunt. And like, I like that. I like that in my characters. They can like do bad shit. There's gray areas and we keep moving because now I'm going to sound like a boomer, but like, you know, a lot of people want the like 100% perfection, 100% like, well, you said this, and it's like, I don't fucking care. So I like flaws. I liked seeing flaws. One of the times I said this on Buffy was in Beauty and the Beast, when Buffy is annoyed at an abuse victim. I liked it because it felt real. I liked it because it was like, yes, I understand that this 17-year-old would be like, just tell me the info I need to know. I'm getting annoyed with you, and would not have the proper language to speak to like an abuse victim. That like rang true and like flawed to me, but in a true way that like a 17-year-old would act. So I like that kind of stuff when we can see these characters like maybe not doing the best thing, but like most of the time they're trying. And Dean Fogg is an asshole, like, right? Like he is kind of an asshole. He cares in the way he cares. I also was wondering this episode a little bit. I'm like, I wonder if he was supposed to be not as much of a dick before he got blinded by the beast.
Oh, that's an interesting point, actually. Yeah, like he has seen what happens when the boundaries of the school are broken and the bad things get in.
Yeah, like I could see that like very much disillusioning him in every area of his job. Like, oh, I rushed to save everyone and my eyes got ripped out. Cool. Like,
I feel like he already had a streak of that in him previously, though. His personality feels very solid, very established, and very well-defined. He is very sure of himself. I just said the word very so many times. And I like that. I feel like what you're saying about characters having some flaws and being fallible, and also acknowledging that, having the awareness of it, Dean Fogg is right there. He knows he can be a dick. He knows that denying Marina asylum is not the kind, caring, empathetic thing to do, and he's still doing it.
Yeah.
Because that's his decision to make.
Yeah.
So even though I don't agree with it, I think it rings true to the character, and he would have done that even without the Beast ripping his eyes out.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Then Marina goes back to them, right?
Yes, there's a scene with Julia and Quentin where I don't know if we want to talk about that now or
Yeah,
later.
we'll talk about that. We can talk about that here. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so basically Quentin gets a message to Julia to meet, and he is warning her that they are making moves on the Beast and she needs to stay away. And she is furious because the Beast has not honored his end of their bargain yet, and so she's worried that they're going to kill the Beast before she can kill Reynard. And the line I've wrote down here is, "I came here to warn you and you're threatening me." And it's this thing that we had in season 1 where, and it makes more sense now, and I can see both sides of it now, but like, it's just Quentin and Julia are just being set on opposite sides of the board and being forced to kind of butt up against each other again. But it's like, well, I understand why Quentin is doing and saying the things he's doing, and I can also understand where Julia is coming from. So it's sort of, we finally got to a place where they are both making decisions that make complete sense to me, but they stop just shy of having a full-blown argument, and she does then warn him about the Beast's curse in the throne room. And it's like, oh yes, here is just that sign we needed that the friendship is not irrevocably broken.
Yes.
I like when Quentin says, "I came here to warn you and you're threatening me," because I get why she says what she says, but at the same time, he's like, I don't want you to die. I understand that what you're doing is motivating you right now, and I'm not begrudging you that, and I don't want you to die because of what me and my cohorts are doing. And she's just so focused on the revenge aspect of her plan that she can't even consider for a second, like, oh yeah, if they don't kill this guy, he might do some real damage even after Renard is gone.
Yeah. Yes. Like, she was there when he killed his Quentin's friends. So like, that I agree with both of you. I do like that. I like that, like, no one's fully in the wrong. I mean, I do think Julia's being maybe a little bit more hurtful. But I understand. I understand why. And you mentioned this before, May, last episode. I like that Quentin, to his credit, he does seem to understand, right? Like you said, Philip, they stop short of an argument. He's not yelling at her. He's just like, that just really hurt my feelings. Like, I came here to try to help, and you're saying you'll kill me if I'm near this. Like, we love each other. What is this? And I like that kind of muted whatever. It's not an argument, right? It's kind of just like they're talking. I like that. I really like that. And I love that at the end she needed to do this to drop a little bit of like, I do still care about you. And she's like, there is a curse. And I felt like we needed that from her in this scene, because it didn't feel like she cared. And then it's like, no, she does. She also still cares. Neither of them want the other one dead, even though they're like fully on opposite sides. And I don't know. I do really like the nuance there of like, no one's fully wrong. And you can see both points. You can even understand why Quentin is hurt, right? Like, shit, you're his best friend. And you're like, yeah, no, he'll fucking die if you're doing this. And like, yeah, I like it. And I think both of them are doing really good acting there. Like, Quentin's voice squeaks a little bit, and that it's because he's like so shockingly hurt, right? Like, he's like, what? Like, so I like that. We get when there's a scene, and now I think I'm out of order and Julia, but it doesn't matter. When Julia's like, if you don't do what I need you to do, I still have the knife, and the Beast says something, and she's like, and I can cut your dick off. And then he goes to sing, and when he starts, and she's like, or your tongue. So that way he'll like, shut up.
Those are the comedy beats I love out of this show, because it's fucking dark. She's talking about cutting a dude's dick off, and it's still very funny for so many layered reasons, one of which is that he is a fucking sex pest.
Wait, but is he, wasn't it?
I was trying to remember this earlier. I was like, he was the victim of the abuse from Christopher Plover.
Yeah.
and then became the Beast.
Correct.
Is he a predator as well?
I always got the impression that he was. I mean, the fact that they go to that children's play place in the previous episode to eat pizza, which I bemoaned him putting ketchup on. Who the fuck puts ketchup on pizza? I think the implication is he wants to look at the children that are running around.
So you had said that last episode, and I was like, in my head, I was like, all right, because he molested, and then I was like, no, that's the other guy. He was the what? My like history gets a little confused with this show, but I will say my reading on that is that he is like a stunted child because all of his trauma
like Michael
happened.
Jackson.
Yeah, like all of his trauma happened when he was what, like 10, and like
yeah.
So that's not to say, not saying either way, but that's what the reading I took of it as. Like, that's why he likes doing things like that. Cause it's like, oh, I didn't get to do good, fun things as a kid because I had this abuser was my like guardian. So I don't know. That's the reading, but I could see it being the other way too.
I'm fully willing to admit I might be wrong on this. That's just how I've always seen it.
It's interesting that the story has kind of placed Julia and the Beast on the same side and like in opposition to the rest of the main characters. And it's like, oh, these are the two characters who have experienced horrific sexual violence at certain points in their lives. And that has ultimately, they are, the quote unquote bad guys at the moment.
Yeah.
And they have their own agenda and they are on their own path that is sort of irreconcilable with what our heroes are doing.
Yeah. Also, on that note, I understand in the previous Leons that they need to remind us of Julia's conflict with Renard.
Oh my God, I know, yes.
But oh my God, I wish they would stop showing so much of the actual assault. It is so upsetting to be shown that over and over. Like, show her talking about it.
Yes, I was going to say, they could easily be like her talking about the rape.
Right.
Like, she could say, yeah, when I was raped, and we don't need to like...
Right, we don't need to see Mackenzie Aston grinding on her every fucking time.
And like, I think Stella Maeve is so good. And like I said this before, like her and Neve Campbell have that like warmth that comes through, I think, in their acting. And her acting is so good. This sounds stupid to say, but I think you both know what I mean. Her acting in that scene is really good, so it makes it even worse, right? Like, because like her like screams,
it feels so real. It's it's horrific.
Yeah, which is a credit to the actor because she's that good. But like, that doesn't mean I like it. I don't want to see it.
I think basically, that's kind of what the most of that story, and then Marina returns at the end because we know that she's been turned away from everywhere else.
Right, and she's like, "You're gonna die without my help."
Nice bit of gaslighting and reframing. She's like, well, I was actually looking for help elsewhere, but the head witch died and then Fog turned me away. So actually, I'm going to help you.
And I love that because that really fits with this character. Like, she was turned down and like hit a wall with trying to find help. So she's like, well, if I don't help them, I'm just going to die anyway. So let me go with Julia.
Right.
But frames it as like, this is my decision and you're lucky.
And that is another thing that I love about Marina's character, because she's going to twist any opportunity to her advantage and not necessarily be upfront about it. Like, she's not going to be like, well, the person I went to for help turned me away, and the other person I went to for help got brutally murdered by the guy that you're trying to kill, so I need help. No, she's never going to say that.
Yeah, she's never going to let herself look desperate or in need. Like, for Marina, that is like, ew, why would I do that? Like, admit weakness, ew, disgusting. Like, I feel like that's how she would feel. That's how she'd feel listening to me and you talk about our feelings, man.
Yes.
And we end on that great moment of the Beast bursting into a brand new musical number and Julia just handing that cigarette to Marina, and then the song continues into the closing credits. And it's so good because basically the Beast he's acting like he's on cocaine. He's acting like they're all on drugs, but he's got like the zoomies while it's kind of put them to. It's like when you get tired drunk instead of happy drunk, and they're tired drunk and he's happy drunk.
Well, I think part of it is that he has just been eating nothing but refined sugar. He's been eating cereal and orange push pops from the freezer and all of these other things. So yeah, he is kind of like a little kid on a sugar rush, which is very similar to adults on cocaine.
Yeah, I remember my grandma Panchi would always say about my nephew, Mira, see, he walks like a drunk. That's how drunks walk about like my nephew. So there is like a little bit of a similarity between like little kids and then like a person drunker on drugs. And we'll go to break pills next, or do we want to go to Fillery?
Let's go to Fillery.
Let's go to Fillery because I feel like this is probably like it's quite a slim story.
Yeah, my notes are shorter here.
Let's kind of race through that. So, but basically, we learn that that nothing is growing in Fillery because they don't actually do farming. The land just grows all of the fruit and vegetables magically.
Right, but the wellspring is drying up, and so there's not enough magic for that to happen anymore.
I do love Elliot faking a headache when he's like, "Oh, I'm getting one of the, and he's like, "Fane, I need you to talk to me."
Like, oh no, I hope I don't please pass out. And then it's like, oh no, I'm still awake. God damn it. Okay.
And I like that this is information we kind of knew about him, right? Like, doesn't he says this in season 1, and I like that we're carrying that over with like, this is how he grew up and he hates it. And like, not even necessarily does he say like, oh, they were all like homophobes. It's just, he fucking hated it. And like, also that's valid, right? To be like, no, like there maybe wasn't abuse, but it's like, I still really hated it growing up and don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
In my head, Elliot's family were like very nice, normal people. And he hated it because they were boring.
Yes, that's kind of how...
Because it was dirty and it smelled.
Yeah.
Same. I would hate it too.
Oh, I to this day, if I get mud on me, I have to fight the urge to cry. I do not like being dirty.
My mom would always say her boys would get mad when they were dirty. They did not like being dirty. And here I am.
But yeah, this whole essentially civilization by Sid Meier quest that Elliot has to turn the land into farmable, viable land. I kind of love it. And I love that he's looking to Fen for support. And I love that he's reaching back into his past and bringing some like genuinely helpful Earthboy knowledge to the land of Fillery. And I love all the jokes. I love all of the jokes. The guy who's like, we're doing what with this shit that you just brought? I don't remember exactly what he says, but it's very amusing because can you imagine the first person in human society to be like, yeah, let's throw some poop on these crops and it'll help them grow faster. Imagine how people looked at that person. Like, go drown yourself in the fucking river. Are you crazy?
I'm not doing that. Ew.
Well, and if you think about it, yeah, that feels very counterintuitive. Why would you put excrement on food that you're trying to grow? But then you look at actual science and how the world functions essentially, and it does make sense. Decay leads to new growth.
Yeah. I also, Brittany Curran is great.
Oh God, she's so good.
She's like, that's your secret? Like, she's like, what?
I think the thing I struggle with is in season 1, it's so much about the quest to find Fillery. And then now we're labored with the task of like, as you know, as viewers, we have or the writers as well. It's like, oh, now we have to like explore what Fillery is actually like and how this works as a world. And it's the thing with C.S. Lewis, the Narnia books, which this is incredibly heavily inspired by. Like C.S. Lewis was never too bogged down by the details of how Narnia worked. It was just like the backdrop for whatever story or parable he was trying to tell.
Yeah.
And I feel like in postmodern fantasy, it's so much about like, oh, well, what would this be actually like? And I find that sap some of the joy out of it. So we have to turn this like land into farmable land isn't interesting to me. But what I do like is it's Elliot having to stop being the shallow, sort of very just hedonistic party boy that he is at Great Bills, and he has to dig deeper, literally and figuratively, and find a bit more grit in himself, because now he's in charge and it's not just about growing champagne.
Right.
Yeah.
And God, I love the aside with the sexual escapades of Elliot and Fen.
Okay, I liked that bit.
Yeah. Well, when he says, "You all look really good naked," that was almost my nickname for the episode, but then I got distracted by my cat falling and I went with the other one. But yeah, it's so wonderful. It's so Elliot. And I like that he's trying to get Fen to open up to some new things, and also is very understanding at her reticence to do so.
And I feel like there's a way in which it sounds shitty, but I don't think it does, right? I do think it's like, he just wants her to open up, but also he does dismiss everybody and she says yes, but he knows this is not quite a consensual yes. It's more of a, I'll do it. But
exactly. And I was going to say that Elliot understands the importance of consent. He really, as horny and salacious as he can be, he's not gonna sexually assault someone or force them into a sexual situation without consent. And especially Elliot seems like the kind of guy who would get really turned on by enthusiastic consent.
Yes, I think he would.
Yeah. He wants everybody to be having as good a time as he is.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's how I am in the bedroom. I want everyone to be having an equally good time. So when someone says, yes, please do this, that turns me on more than anything. Like, feeling desired and having someone want me to do things to them or for them, or, expressing my desire for them to do things to me. It's just so fucking hot.
I'm going to put a pin in what I'm about to say, because later on in this season, there is a scene with, what did you just call it? I love that term. What consent?
Oh, enthusiastic consent.
There is a scene with Margot and some enthusiastic consent, because I've been doing a background watch. I always do that before the seasons, try to figure out picture ideas. And I was like, this is fucking hot. Like, when we get there, I think it's episode 5, maybe. But yes, and I will tell you both after. But yes, I agree. I do think that's really hot. And I think, Mae, you taught me that term 2 years ago. But yeah, I think for me, this I wish Margot had been there, because I think him and Margot, when they go through shit together, pun intended, not intended. When they go through shit together like this, it's fun, and it really is it's fun seeing Elliot, especially after last season, right, when that boyfriend died, and he was understandably fully depressed and drinking his feelings, and even Margot couldn't pull him out. I feel like, while this isn't the best outcome for him in his mind, he doesn't really want to be stuck here, he's working with it, and we're seeing how it's good for him, right? He is kind of okay, well, let me problem solve, and he does. I think that's great.
It's the first time, probably in a good couple of years, that he's actually being challenged.
Yeah.
He has responsibilities that he has to step up to, and he is now in this relationship, and he is trying to make it work. During the bedroom scene, I had that Dan Savage line in my head where it's whenever he talks about polyamory and open relationships, he's like, well, if you want to stay in that relationship, if you both want to stay in that relationship, you will find a way to do whatever you need to do to stay in that relationship. And he understands how important this is, and so that's what he's trying to do. And I think it's important that Elliot and Margot are separated so that they can go. I think they wouldn't be able to grow if they were still the codependent, bitchy, fun unit that we met in season 1. They need to have that time apart to remember who they are individually. And I think this is probably maybe a good time to jump into the break bill stuff. And I want to talk about my favorite Margot moment of the episode.
The last thing I wanted to mention about Elliot is when everyone else shows up and he says, perfect timing for once. I have agrarian tales to tell you. And then it says, he hands them the plant and says something about the reign of King Shit.
Yes.
And it's so delightful.
I also enjoyed his delivery of royal dung.
Yes. That's what he called it when he delivered it. Thank you.
I give you the reign of King Shit. Yes, it's really good. I also do like him saying, like, you're just on time for once, because everyone is always, like, just missing a thing on this show. But yes, let's go into break bills. Going into break bills, I gotta say, I was like, oh shit, this is what the show looks like with color. Like, I forgot that we had, like, so gray for so long.
Oh, they turn the saturation all the way up when things are set in break bills. And there's a nice bit of lore, I think, to explain why the external shot for the cottage looks different now. And they're like, oh, we moved it. Because I swear they do switch to like a different building for the outside shots.
And last season they used the same cottage to be the Plover house. And it was like very obvious.
It was just at night.
Yeah.
Okay, so Margot kicks open the door, knocks some poor girl to the ground and says, yeah, we're alive. Deal. I love her.
She's so good. And then I love that Penny immediately runs up to Josh and can't hurt him.
Yes.
Josh thinks he's going in for a handshake, and then Penny knees him in the dick and says, still got my legs. So good.
So good. I couldn't remember. Does Josh, I know he leaves, but is it like does he like abandon them, leave?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he and Victoria were originally going to help them fight the beast, but they what should I say? They weenied out of it. And obviously Victoria's a traveler, so she's off wherever she wants to be. And Josh was just like chilling out at break bills.
Yeah, Josh gets kneed in the balls. I do like, so there's someone who's like, is Fillory real? And then we cut to Sunderland and Fogg having the conversation about Fillory being real. And I like that her reaction is, okay, and this is going to be on the syllabus next semester. Like, she's very like, what are we doing with that info?
Yeah, she's very much still in teacher mode. Yeah. Like, what? Okay, great.
Like, and
also,
yeah.
I am so sad that this is her last episode, and I did not remember that this is her last episode. She's not credited past this. She just disappears from the show. There's no like dramatic exit. She doesn't get killed. She's just not there anymore.
That's so strange because they finally start to like give her things to do.
Yeah, and Anne Dudek is a fantastic actor. I talked about her last season. I loved her during her run on House. I love her on this. And especially, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but the scenes we have with her and Penny where she's trying to help him with his hands.
So hot.
The chemistry between them is incredible. And I'm mad that we don't get to develop that and see where it goes, because she makes the joke about like maybe after you graduate,
but which is insane because they are both clearly the same age.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
37.
I say that all the time with a lot of the shows where it's like, all right, what is supposed to be the age difference here, because these actors look kind of like Wesley and Cordelia in season 3. I forget is bad because I'm like, these are two people who are clearly the same age. Like, so Alice and Quentin are doing research. They're being a little angsty. This is the point of my notes when I say, I don't even know what that bracelet Alice is wearing that she says is burning is doing.
Me neither.
I will be honest. I don't even remember that. I think it's made of the same material that the magic ball that they used to open the puzzle to the wellspring in the previous episode. I think it's made of the same material, which you can't come in contact with unless you're powered up by God juice. And so I think she's basically wearing it as a warning so that she knows how much time she has left to still be able to use her extra magic strength.
God magic. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, am I maybe making excuses for the show for slightly dropping the ball on something? Yes. And I don't care. It's
Also,
fine.
doesn't matter. Yeah, it barely matters.
It doesn't matter that much. And I feel like you can just infer stuff. So
yeah, I sometimes at the show I feel like there is like a D&D nerd who's keeping like detailed track of every single plot.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the writers where just like, yeah, throw that in there when you need to. I don't know. And there's someone that's like, no, the bracelet. You didn't mention the bracelet. And they're like, sure, throw in a line.
And Alice says, not because it's starting to burn her. And she says, but not everything that hurts is bad. And then gives Quentin a long, pointed look. And it's like, are they still not together? Are they not back together at this point?
No, in the previous episode, they
kiss.
We see them kiss, and the implication is that they then fuck. And
which we would confirm later, I suppose.
Yes, and I love that she kisses Quentin and then goes, "We're not getting back together," and he just goes, "Okay." And then it's clear that immediately after that they're having sex.
Yeah. We see them doing research. I like a research, but I feel like we spend a little bit too much time on this research. Because I didn't even know what the thing. I was like, all right, I guess. I don't know. Like,
they basically figure out that Big B, because she's a pixie and pixies love puzzles, left a series of clues to lead them to this book that has the spell that they want. I think this is a pretty fun research montage. It's got good music. It's got some funny gags in it. And then the payoff at the end is, great, fuck, we still don't have what we need.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's setting you up for specific expectations because of our media literacy.
Yeah.
And then completely subverting those and going, oh, you thought this was going to solve the problem? Guess again, motherfuckers. And I feel like that's a consistent choice that the writers of the show make.
Yeah.
And so it always works for me. It always works for me because as much as I'm not into edging in real life in a sexual way, thematic edging I find very entertaining and it keeps me invested.
And it's because the show is so fond of a set piece, and this is a really fun little set piece in the library with all the floating cards and magical anagrams and things. And obviously, like once a season, there's a big heist episode. I couldn't tell you if at the end of every heist they actually get the thing they're looking for.
Yeah.
I think the writers are just like, oh, and we can do a really fun set piece. And maybe it'll move the plot forward, or maybe they'll be thwarted in unexpected ways. But really, it's just like, you're going to be entertained like while we spin our wheels plot-wise. So don't worry about it.
And I'm telling you, that guy that has the board is like, you forgot about what the heist was about. And they're like, it's fun. We're having fun. And I do like that they make sure to show us that Margot is good at this. Like, we do see Margot, like, doing the research. And this season is particular, they start to do that a lot where they like show us, oh wait, Margot's like, you know, we start with like, oh, she's actually got like pretty good nerd knowledge of the book series. And now we're like, oh, she is kind of like good at the research. And I love that.
She makes the potion that helps Penny before Sunderland realizes what's wrong with him. You know, she's using skills that she's probably never had to before because her and Elliot just get people to do things for them.
Yes.
And yeah, no, we love watching a hot bitch come into her own.
Oh yeah, she's very intelligent and very resourceful, and she's not weird about it.
Yes. There's no like, she will grandstand about other things, but she's not like doing any posturing with this. It's just like, yeah, she's good at it.
Right. And that ties back to, I think, our collective belief on this podcast that her character is essentially an extension of Cordelia.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And, I've talked about that I believe Cordelia has autism, and that is part of what shapes her character. And I think we talked about last season that I feel the same way about Margot.
Yeah. You and Sabrina both have brought that up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, like, I was just having a catch up with Summer the other day, and she was saying how, like, and maybe she said this before on the podcast, but she was saying that, like, watching Buffy was always her inspiration for Margot. Like, any of the women on Buffy, like, the acting they did. Like, she mentioned Julie Benz the other day. She was like, yeah, I would sometimes watch the Darla scenes to be like, let me channel bad bitch energy. And, like, she would watch that. She would be like, yeah, on the weekends when we were off, sometimes that's what I would watch to, like, hype myself up to be Margot. And I think that's, like, awesome. I think that's, like, so gratifying to hear, since, like, we all are Buffy nerds as well, and, like, that just makes sense for this character, right? Like,
100%.
So then Dean, Fogg, Alice, and Quentin go to see the Pixie,
Big B.
Right, yeah, the final clue was a riddle that led to her address. And
didn't even know that.
I've literally just watched it, otherwise I wouldn't remember. But Big B, this scene is a fun one, and it's something the show does all the time, but it's good at it, so I don't mind. A perfect example of like a one-off character who is there to deliver plot and exposition, but you still get, like, such a nice idea of who she is and how she fits into this world.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel clunky, and I would have quite liked to see her again. I don't think that we do.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure this is her only episode. She is very charming and very fun to watch interact with Dean Fogg, especially because, oh my God, she wants to fuck him so bad. And it's hilarious. And I love that she calls out Quentin and Alice fucking like rabbits. And her focus is so much more on trying to fuck Dean Fogg and so much less on their plight and what they even came there to ask her for. She's like, oh yeah, magical, evil guy. Okay, whatever. Give me that dick.
Yeah, like, do you have time to fuck Dean? I'm going to ask you 10 more times. Like, and I like that she's also like, I like the idea that, like, that's just how pixies are. Like, I get the impression that's kind of like a pixie thing where it's just like they're very open about sex, and, like, to her it's not even I'm kind of this way too, but, like, to her it's clearly not like romance. It's not like, oh, but I'm so in love. It's just like, no, I want to fuck this guy. He fucks. Like,
oh, there's such a coding of, like, magical creatures all have that queer energy of, like, well, why wouldn't I sleep with my friends and then, like, tell my other friends about it?
Yeah,
right.
Tell people how good it was. Yeah, like, I'm just, like, charmed by her. And I actually did put in my notes, I can't tell if in real life I would love this person or hate this person.
And there would be no in between. Yeah.
No, I think she's the kind of person I would enjoy seeing at a party or going out for drinks with every now and then. But she is not the type of person that I would want to, like, hang out and watch a movie with.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not having her in my house.
No. No, I'll go to her house for, like, a hookup or whatever. I say this as someone who doesn't even do hookups or casual sex. But maybe we'd have that one-time tryst. It would be really hot, a whole weekend of just marathon,
I'm sure she's
on
good.
and off
I'm sure she knows how to lay it down. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I would be like, okay, cool. I'll see you in 6 months for a drink.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that talk would be exhausting.
Yes. So we get the Penny and Sunderland scene, which we talked about. They have good chemistry, and it is a bummer that we don't see her again, because he also hit on her in season 1, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I thought so.
Can you blame him? She's a fucking babe.
They're both.
And they really do, like, amp it up in this episode in particular. When she first notices, he's having this problem with his hands, and she asks him, and he's like, why? And she does that classic secretary glasses take off. She's like, well, maybe I can help. And then she takes her glasses off to show that she's really hot.
See, I think I look hotter with my glasses on, personally.
The best news I had last year was that I am short-sighted, and so I got to finally start wearing spectacles with real lenses in them.
Oh yeah, and let me just say, you look really hot with your glasses on.
Oh, thank
And
you.
let
You're
me
welcome.
say, motherfucker, you've been tricking me for years. I thought you had prescription glasses.
No.
When I was in junior high, I bought these really cute frames that were like reading glasses, and I popped the lenses out of them just because I liked the way they looked on my face. I was
Listen,
that kid.
Y'all are assholes. I've been wanting to get rid of my glasses my entire life, and I can't get contacts because I'm a baby and my eyes blink too much.
But you look so cute with your glasses.
Thanks. Anytime I post a picture without them, though, it gets more attention. So LASIK.
Really?
Once I get money, that's like I have like 10
interesting.
goals once I get what.
Oh my God, you're like Dean Fogg, hot and blind.
Yeah. I'm just like, I don't need them. So I don't look, even in my notes, I say I'm not sure the like transition here to like everyone in Dean Fogg's like Freddy Krueger basement.
Yeah, it really.
That's what it looks like.
It kind of does. I mean, I assumed that was at the school somewhere.
Sure, yeah,
that we haven't
probably,
seen.
They have like a blacksmith / tattoo studio under the in the basement. But yes, it very quickly transitions from Alice is practicing this new battle magic, and Dean's like, "Oh, you suck at that, so I'm gonna give you this extra thing to help buy you some time." And he's like, "Yeah, hey everyone, like, you know what we haven't done yet this episode? Get drunk."
Oh my God, I love that he says you're going to get as drunk as you possibly can, or something to that effect.
Yes, that's like order number 1.
Yeah, and honestly, even though the tattooing method they were using looked really painful, I couldn't tell exactly what it was because it wasn't stick and poke. It was something else. There's something really hot about it, and I'm not gonna lie, if I didn't already have a giant tattoo in the middle of my back, I would totally get one of those. They're so hot.
I was like, what are we doing? Like, I couldn't even remember when I first rewatched this. I was like, wait, the what? And then I was like, they already got no, the thing has to be put in through the tattoo. Margot's great in this. I love her a lot. When he's like, take off your shirt and bend over. And she's like, oh, nothing good ever came of that. Well, almost.
So good. Yeah, and then they get Keiko demons put into their backs, which they came out of the fire. They look like weird little lava worm things, and they're upsetting.
They remind me of Star Trek. I forget which one, when there's little like things that go in their ears.
Oh, Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan.
The evil little thing that goes in their ears. I watched that film when I was too young, and it gave me nightmares.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I've been terrified of insects crawling in my ear basically my entire life because of that movie. I thought that what you see in that is an actual earwig. That's what I thought earwigs were. And I thought they were called earwigs because they go inside your ear.
That makes sense. I don't like the term earwig, and sometimes I like forget about it, but yeah. That's what it reminded me of, and that also scared me as a kid. Like, I love Star Trek, but I remember like if that was on, I'd like have to like look away because I'd be like,
well, and it's God, a huge nerd like tangent here, but like it's not a horror film. Like, it's just that one scene is so horrible, and the rest of it is like very standard Star Trek. It's space adventures and high drama. But yeah, that one scene, it did not need to do that. They didn't need to do it that.
No, I'm like, I just remember the one guy like screaming as it's and I'm like, yeah. So they get their little demons. Yeah. That's that. There we go. We're at the end. I have the end. King shit and Marina and Julia smoking a cigarette. That's what I have as like.
I have a couple notes that I didn't get to mention. I love when Josh is trying to like make amends and Penny just goes, fuck off. And Josh goes, okay. I think that's part of why I love Josh, is because he is such a sweet person, like a genuinely sweet person. And he knows he fucked up. He knows that by leaving them to do this themselves, he fucked up and he feels bad about it. Penny's bracelets that Professor Sunderland puts on him are kind of hot. Like they look good.
He looks
And
good
then-
with like a lot of jewelry, I think.
Oh yeah. And then Elliot, before the potential orgy, saying, "I've been doing this shit since I was 12,
Yes.
except on a computer." And Fen going, "I don't understand what that means." It's great.
So now that we are at the end, favorite outfit, May?
Elliot's royal outfit, when we see him toward the end of the episode, I mean, I think he wears it through more of the episode, but like with his crown on and that outfit, he just looks so good. And also Fen in that like flowy kind of maroonish purple thing, very, very cute. And Marina always looks good.
Philip?
But yeah,
Oh,
my
yeah.
number one is Elliot.
Okay.
I think the styling in Fillory is the costuming. It's very sort of charmed Xena extra closets, but in a like brackets positive. I love the jaunty little outfits that the royal guards wear when Elliot is first giving them the sneaky little look. But no, I think the actual best outfit probably is the very tight mock turtleneck that Marina wears at the very end of the episode.
Yeah, Marina, I feel like she wears a lot of mock turtlenecks and she always looks incredibly sexy in them.
Everything's always like high necked, skin tight. We've talked about the skin tight fashion of it's such a specific time period of the show, but whenever it's Marina wearing it, I'm like it's aged perfectly.
Yeah, I'd agree. Excuse me. Speaking of skin tight, my favorite outfit, Margot, when they're researching, is wearing, when they leave Fillory, is wearing like this black skin tight. I think it's like what she was wearing underneath that pink jacket. But it's like she has like knee-high boots, these like really tight, maybe skinny jean leggings, and she has like a like black blouse that's like sheer in one part and then like not in the other. And she looks, and I think she's got like some extensions in because her hair looks a little poofier in the back, and she looks great. That's my favorite outfit. Favorite scene, Philip?
Oh goodness. I think probably the whole sequence with Bigby just being like a horny little pixie and constantly derailing the conversation because she's so digmatized by Dean Fogg.
May?
I really like all this stuff with Sunderland and Penny. I think it's just lovely and makes me sad that we never get to explore that past this episode.
I think for me, it's I have like a tie, but I think it is the Keiko demon scene. I don't know. I just like it. I like them like prepping for battle. We're like getting ready. Marco's saying stupid shit. We're getting drunk. We're getting tattoos. It has things I like. Looks like a horror movie basement.
It's good, like weird fantasy that they have these little salamanders just like going into their backs.
And we're just like, sure, okay about it. Yeah, I like that. What grade do we give this episode, Philip?
I think a B-.
Okay.
This season does a lot of spinning its wheels in these early episodes while they kind of hold off on giving us the death of the beast. The Penny's hands situation is probably like my least favorite storyline, and that goes on like longer than I would like. But yeah, I think solid B-, because there's still just so much to enjoy in here. And even the worst episode of The Magicians is still a fun hang.
Yeah. May?
I gave episode 1 an A-, and I don't think this one is quite as good, even if it does certain things a little bit better. So I'm going to go with a solid B on this one.
I feel like this happened a lot in season 1. I'm going to have the lowest grade. I give it a C+. It's fine. It's good. It's enjoyable, but there's not like quite a plot. Season 2, I have noticed a lot of the episodes are like this, where like there are 5 plots and they have like a beginning, a middle, and end, but like the next episode in particular, which I love, has a plot that ends 30 minutes into the episode or 20 minutes into the episode. And I was like, wait, this is still the same episode? And I don't love that so much, that format. So yeah, C+, but still love it. Thank you to the two of you for joining me. Thank you all for listening to the start of our Magicians coverage. It'll be weekly. We got video recordings. Yeah, come hang out. It's all spoiler free, mostly. And if you like Slayerfest 98, you can find us on social media, all social media platforms at SlayerFestX98. You can find our video recordings on our YouTube channel, listen to the audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Please give us a good rating and a good review because it helps the podcast and is much appreciated. And if you'd like to support us, you can find us on Patreon and covering X-Men the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, and finishing up Buffy Season 4 for its 25th anniversary. And yes, we will be doing Season 5. I have a sex talk show with Zachary Patton Garcia called My Nudie Judy. And yeah, Philip, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Philip Ellis. That's Philip with one L, Ellis with two. At the moment, it's mostly just me posing with my book and my cat. And you can. I'm actually amazed that we have been recording for over an hour and Butter has yet to make a cameo.
Wait, your cat's name is Butter?
Yes.
I don't think I have heard this before, and I love that.
He is my biological child. I love him so much. So yeah, follow me on Instagram. You can see how cute Butter is. And then my novels, you can find them in bookshops or online. They are called Love and Other Scams and We Could Be Heroes.
And Mae, where can everyone find you and your things?
You can find me on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Everson Poe. That's EversonPoe. You can find my music on Bandcamp and streaming services, Everson Poe, 2 separate words. And you can hear me here talking about various nerdy things and over on Tender Subject with Kate Terry talking about body horror and cannibalism. I am launching a new podcast with my friend Caitlin soon. More details to be announced, but keep an eye out for that.
All right.
Ooh.
Cool. And we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.